Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. So I've been getting hit up a lot lately on my Instagram with people wondering how I go about calculating my spring rates for my builds. So I want to do this video kind of breaking down the method that I use. There's quite a few ways you can go about figuring this out, but I feel like the method that I use, it just eliminates all the variables and takes all the guesswork out of it. There's a lot of ways you go about getting springs nowadays. Companies are offering free spring exchange. You order your springs, and then, if you're wrong, you pay the shipping back, and then you get new springs. It gets expensive if you have to do it more than once or twice, and it's just, I feel like that's a lot of guessing. I like having hard, fast numbers. So I like going about it the way I've been doing. I've been doing it for a long time with this method, and it's worked great for me. Now, there's a few things that you need to know with figuring out your spring rates. The number one thing that you're going to need to know is you're going to need to know what your up travel from ride height's going to be. And if you're building your suspension, you've kind of already had this planned out from the beginning anyways, so you should already know this number. For mine, it's 5.5 inches of up travel. Now that I have that number, the next thing that I need to know is going to be the one that's a lot more, intricate. It takes a little bit more, and this is where a lot of the guesswork comes into play. You need to know your corner weights. Now, the issues with figuring out your corner weights is because it's a little bit more in depth than just knowing what the weight of the corner of the Jeep is. You need to know what that is applied to the spring. Meaning, if you've got a 500-pound corner weight, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to translate directly to the spring. There's a lot of things that play a factor in how that weight is applied to the spring. If you have the tower leaned, or the coilover leaned in super hard or leaned back, that's going to play a factor in how that weight is applied to your spring. So with that being said, the method that I use does not care. It does not matter. You could have your coilovers leaned back, leaned forward, leaned in. It does not matter. It's not gonna play an effect in figuring out the information. And these numbers, once you have all these numbers, you'll be able to give a place to call. Like, I work with AccuTune a lot, so I get these numbers together. I shoot them a phone call. I tell them what my spring weight is, like what the weight that's being applied to the spring is for that corner, and what I need the springs to collapse, and then they shoot me the rates that they recommend. So the way I go about figuring out what my corner weight is I go ahead and throw 100-pound springs on both sides. I throw my slider on, and I adjust my preload nuts all the way down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to jack the axle up till I have the entire front weight of the Jeep on the spring. So there's no weight on any of the jack stands, and then I'll be able to figure it out. Now, the first thing I need to know before I do that is I need to know what my starting height is for the spring. Now, these are 14-inch springs. They're a really good spring. They're iBox. I've never had a set not be what they're advertised at, but you always want to verify. Because if you go with a 14-inch spring and you just assume, but it ends up being that it's, stagnant at 14.25, that's going to mess this number up. So you want to verify what the height of the starting height of the spring is. These are supposed to be 14, and they are spot on at 14. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and jack the axle up. Okay, so now I got the axle jacked all the way up, so now the springs are fully supporting the front weight of the Jeep. So now what I got to do is figure out my compressed length, right? So we're going to take a measurement here, and we are at 8 3/4. So now we're going to take that 8 3/4, we're going to subtract that from our overall length, which was 14. So that's going to put us at 5.25. So now we know that our compression is 5.25. So now we're going to times that by our spring rate, which is 100 pounds. So that puts us at 525 pounds of force on this spring. And now that we got that number, it makes ordering the correct springs a lot easier because, as I mentioned before, I work a lot with AccuTune. That's who I like to go through. But most of the companies that you can get in touch with to try to get your springs from, that having that information for how much force is applied to that spring, that corner force is going to help, narrow down the springs that you're going to want by a large margin. This is how I've been doing it for years. I find it to be the most useful method. If you guys got other methods, I'd love to hear it. Definitely leave them in the comments down below. If you had any questions or suggestions, leave them as well. Other than that, guys, I appreciate you guys checking out the video. Hopefully this helps some of you guys. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one.